primetime Poulton, keep it entertaining. You already knowin', outworking everybody and he don't ever quit. Talking about plenty comics like Graveyard Shift, Sea Dogs, Viking Wolf, U.S. Assassin, doing just what he loves. This is his passion. Bring more value to your dollar. No, I'm not frontin'. That's how just a writer became a moral compass. This is primetime Poulton. This is primetime Poulton. Let's go.
What's up, guys? It's the Moral Compass. With me, the main event. Can only mean one thing. You're watching the Pod Gods. What's up, Phil?
What's up, Mark, with a banging new rap about himself.
Yeah, the new intro to the Primetime Poulton channel. Shout out to the Red Gaze who edited it for me. And my man Kibo, who's been doing all the raps for my trailers and stuff. So big thanks to them for helping me put that together. Eventually, I'd like to get a Pod Gods intro and a Best Friend Show intro. Do it upright.
We'll auto tune some of that Johnny Swinger. Get going.
We got a third man in the booth this week. We got a little Moral Compass right there in the corner.
A little preview for those first 100 for those first 99 backers.
Yeah. So that's a good transition. I want to talk a little bit about Viking Wolf. There's only 6 days left in the first 30 days of the campaign. So it's crazy to think we're almost at the halfway point. It feels just like yesterday we launched this. Like you said, all the mini Moral Compass figures went really quick. I got good news for anyone who missed out. There will be a variant for the U.S. Assassin 3 campaign, which is going to launch in August. And this new variant is going to come with a little 2x3 brick replica of U.S. Assassin 1 for Mark to hold in his hands.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just trying to think of new ways to get people interested. People really seem to respond to the mini Moral Compass figure. Let's see if they'll respond to it again.
It's just like any good collector. We just don't want the standard. We want the variant, even the second.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe eventually we'll get a main event figure, a Sean JT Aaron figure.
I'm ready for when we get our book out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the featured tier is $100. That comes with all 4 books that we're producing: the Matt Dalton cover, the Renzo Rodriguez cover, the black and white artist edition of Viking Wolf, as well as the Haunted Pizza yearbook, which is bios on all the creators I'm working with, as well as some new artwork in there. First appearance of Gun Goth, who is on the cover, which is drawn by Renzo Rodriguez. And that will be a foil cover, which I'm excited about because I'm a huge 90s fan. Also, if you want to spend a little extra more, we have the Viking Wolf collector's case at $150. That's all 4 books that I mentioned, but it comes in a nice case with a magnetic closing as well. I've been adding stuff to the box since the campaign started. Here's a better picture of it right here. I've added the black and white Coney Waves First Wave Collected Edition, which is a collection of my first work in the industry, as well as my retailer incentive cover that I actually drew to Coney Waves Demon Slayer #1, my first published artwork. Plus, there's a Viking Wolf metal trading card that's going to be included in the box. So tons of cool stuff, and we'll probably keep adding stuff as the campaign goes on. But I just wanted to make you aware because we're in our last 6 days of the first half of the campaign. So if you haven't checked out Viking Wolf, make sure you do so. I want to give a shout out to Indie Wrestling Aces, who's in the chat. He gave a nice Ric Flair. Woo!
Speaking of Ric Flair, we'll talk about his Spawn for a little bit. Did you catch Hell in a Cell last night?
No, I was planning on it, and then Chrissy actually asked if we could get caught up on Dark Side of the Ring, And I was like, oh, I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to watch actually with my family some wrestling related content because they usually aren't interested.
You made a better choice.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell was everything that's wrong with WWE today, and McMahon went out and said that he knows that the program is stale and they're just waiting for live audiences again. Obviously, he hasn't realized that the product's been stale for a good 15 years. Jesus Christ.
So basically, he's saying it's going to stay stale until we get a live audience.
It's going to continue to be stale, and then a little less stale when people come back. It's because think about it, most of the storylines that have been fresh for the WWE have been fans pushing their own guys, like the CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, like the guys that the fans have gotten behind. And now that there are no fans for us to get behind, it's been the same old shit, but just a different day.
Man, it's crazy how little WWE I watch. And for the longest time, I was just keeping up. I was, reading the results or watching like the highlights. I'm not even doing that anymore. I've lost complete interest. Though I would say the one shining star continues to be Roman Reigns. Whatever he's involved in seems to be great. He's just, I don't know, he might be the best performer in wrestling right now, which is crazy because the rest of the company is, the rest of the storylines is terrible.
This is what's great about Roman Reigns, and I can't believe I just said that, but I'm going to. What's great about Roman Reigns is that he is elevating whoever is in the ring with him and storylines with him. That man launched Dom Mysterio out the ring just to show up right. Like, if I could toss your son who's twice your size, I'm going to toss you around. Roman Reigns is the best thing about WWE and probably the best overall performer in wrestling today right now. I'm loving everything that he's doing. And I don't even watch the WWE anymore, but I have to make sure I see what Roman's up to. And that is what makes wrestling wrestling.
Hicks Villain says, what? You didn't like Voodoo Goddess Alexa Bliss? Ever since they put her with Bray Wyatt, I haven't liked her character as much. It's for a while, it just seemed like some weird, I hate to say, I don't even want to say it. Just the way they dressed her up like a kid and stuff like that. It's very weird.
No, I knew where you were going. I wanted to see you with that short leash, how that went. But now, Voodoo Goddess Alexa Bliss is something I never want to see on my television again. Shayna Baszler should just be kicking ass and taking names. No one has gimmicks anymore except for Roman Reigns. The RK Bro is just, it's all right, but
Hicks Villain says Roman Reigns was smart enough to take yesterday off.
He probably saw the card and saw what was going on. He's like, you know what? We'll take that Rey Mysterio match on SmackDown. We'll do it and not be on there. That show was just pure trash. And Rhea Ripley gets disqualified to retain her belt. It's just terrible. And I thought that maybe this would be an okay way back into WWE because I feel like the fans are coming back, so I wanted to get back into it, and it just shut me down. This week was not a good week for professional wrestling, and it seems like I'm saying that again, and I don't like it. I don't like it, Moral Compass. I do not like it at all.
Normally, this is where I would say, well, let's brighten things up and talk some Impact Wrestling, but this last batch of Impact tapings has been pretty bad. Matt Cardona was just there for like a brief moment. They wrote him off by having him get beat up by Brian Myers, but that's okay because Myers' storyline that he's been doing with Sam Beal has been entertaining. But where's Taylor Wilde at? She was like this breath of fresh air to the women's division, and she hasn't been seen in weeks.
I don't understand It feels like they went with storylines and then forgot about them halfway through these tapings, where and they don't, and they're putting themselves really in a bind because what's the bright spots that are happening, they can't react to it the next week. They're just saying, "Oh, okay, this is something that happened on social media, but now we got to wait a month before we can tape into it again." And by that time, you lose interest. Taylor Wilde's become the next Jake something.
Yeah, no, that's a good comparison. Hicks Villain says Charlotte was laying in those stiff kicks. She missed Rhea by a mile.
Yeah, it was not good. And Charlotte Flair is just, she's not doing it anymore. Face Charlotte Flair does not work. It never worked. It will never work. And with someone like Rhea Ripley who can be a really good badass face, it's WWE just trash. And we're gonna go bury Impact just like we're about to bury, just like we buried WWE and AEW. They got one foot in the grave too. So let's just go ahead and go at it today.
All right, Impact Wrestling starts off backstage. Moose wants answers. He's banging on Scott D'Amore's door. He said he was robbed at the pay-per-view. Scott D'Amore, he says, yeah, you were robbed, but basically he's more concerned with Sami Callihan. Anthem is sending a representative to address the situation. We go to the ring for the first match. It is TJP with Falabella in his corner versus Black Taurus with Crazy Steve in his corner. This has basically this little feud has come from the X Division qualifiers, I guess. They're all like runner ups for the X Division title. It's the same, basically 5 people we've been talking about for the last year.
When you have matches where you say, all right, we have a great division, which we were talking about how great the division was, but then when you put them all in one giant match and you don't make any of them come out special, they just become 5 regular guys again. And they are now back to being 5 regular guys again. No one, I mean, I like Josh Alexander, but the man has no gimmick. The man has no mic skills. The man is a really good wrestler, but he's never going to get over to the point that an Ethan Page can get himself over and work at. He's just not going to do it. I love to watch the guy in the ring, but he doesn't do it for me. And you have this 5 to 6 same almost jabrones now chasing after him, and you're just like, I can't do it anymore.
So TJP gets the win. I think the one good thing out of this is I think it's going to turn into a tag feud with TJP and Falaba. Looks like they're putting them back together against Decay. This I don't know. This version of Decay really isn't cutting it. I almost feel like Black Taurus was the wrong pick. Havoc should have been the third person and just made Decay a like women's faction that Crazy Steve accompanies them to the ring.
That is too creative for Impact right now, because Impact, since the official loss of Don Callis, has just gone down, and I think whatever Jimmy Jacobs is doing, he's got to get back on there. I don't know if he is more involved. He may be just involved with the Don Callis stuff, and I think that may be another reason why the show has been floundering the past month with these tapings, because there's just no creativity at all in the whole show. It's just, it feels like it's the standard show over and over again. And really, the loss of Taya Valkyrie is really seen in this women's division later on in the show.
Well, Moose knew how disappointed we were with this segment, so he came out and he beat up TJP for us. But Chris Sabin made his return, and he chased off Moose. So it looks like I think Moose is going to be out of the title picture for a while and dealing with TNA original Chris Sabin.
Yeah, afterwards, after the commercial break, Sabin officially challenged Moose for Slammiversary. So we have that to look forward to. Maybe a return of Alex Shelley. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, one can only hope. I mentioned Havoc a little earlier. Congratulations to her. She got engaged over the weekend. Sami Callihan proposed to her. Like we said, every woman in the Impact division has a boyfriend at Impact as well. All right, match number 2: Madman Fulton versus Josh Alexander. Ace Austin is the number 1 contender for the X Division title, and this is his heater. Madman getting a shot against Josh Alexander. You were just mentioning all of everything you like about Josh Alexander, which is he's a wrestling machine, and as well as everything you don't like, his lack of mic skills, his lack of character. I think his character just is he's a wrestling machine, sort of like how Kurt Angle, after Kurt Angle ditched the all the funny business towards the end of his WWE run, like right before he went to ECW. He was the wrestling machine. I think this is how they're trying to portray Josh Alexander now.
Yeah, but he can't get a fan base by that way. Like the reason why that character worked for Kurt Angle is because he came in with the Olympic hero gimmick, right? And then he came into the really dumb but smart wrestler. Like he's a little dumb, but he can wrestle his ass off. And that led to comedy segments with Stone Cold and with Edge and Christian. And by that time, we knew what he could do in the ring. He was beating Benoit, he was beating Jericho, he was beating Guerrero, and now he's just like. And then he moved into this the comedy and wrestling machine. So it's a good trajectory of the character. Whereas this is he's just sort of just like cut into this. So you can't get a fan base when you don't talk.
You know where Josh Alexander needs to go?
Where?
Swingers Palace.
Yes, he needs to get himself a lady. Yes, he needs to. Maybe he has a little bit too much to drink. Wakes up with one of the females. Boom! Builds a new storyline.
Yeah, I was going to say they wrote James Storm off TV, but they could have him getting drunk with James Storm wearing cowboy hats.
Oh, this is Impact. If you're watching, we love your show. If you need a couple writers, we're here. We're here to add a little bit something back to the product. My goodness.
Absolutely. We got a new person in the chat. We got Paolo. He says, Hicksville, you just didn't see it. Charlotte was clearly a Jedi using the force of Rhea. Yeah.
Yep.
Using. So after the match, Ace Austin comes in. Petey Williams comes in to counter him. We get Rohit. We get Trey Miguel. We get the
jabrones. All the jabrones.
All the people.
Back at it again.
Man, they really need to add some variety to this. You know, they had I think we kind of made fun of him a bit. VSK when he made his appearance, and Matt Stryker was raving about him. But I would take VSK just to have a little variety in the X division right now.
Yeah,
Sam Beal.
If it comes to Sam Beal winning the X division championship, and then Brian Myers is like, wait a second, I deserve this title because I'm the guy who built him up, right? And then he basically takes the belt from him, which would be a great storyline.
We're writing television for him. All right. Well, we got Deonna Purrazzo backstage. She's ripping into Kimberly and Susan, just basically ripping into Kimberly more, just saying what an embarrassment she's been, and she needs to get her act together. I can't even speak. Get her act together. She storms off. Susan calls her a millennial. Susan's a fun character, I think. She's been a low-key MVP, I think, to Impact over the past year. When what's her name? Who was it that just made her return to wrestling after retiring again? The one who. The happy girl.
Yeah, Kylie Ray. Kylie
Ray.
Kylie Ray, who was think about what we were talking about last year. We were talking about how much we can't wait for Kai. I drafted her on the fantasy league thinking she was going to take the title from Deonna Purrazzo, and then all of a sudden she leaves.
Yep. Well, she's back now in wrestling. We'll see how that goes.
It's not gonna. Whatever company she's with, she's gonna retire in about like 2 minutes.
We get an interview with W. Morrissey backstage. He's talking to Gia Miller. He's saying everyone here has friends. Willie Mack has Rich Swann. Eddie Edwards has Kojima. TJP has Fallah Bahh. That's where they're making their mistakes. You don't need friends. You just need to rely on yourself. Another great promo by Morrissey. He's killing it since he's one of the bright spots in these recent bit of tapings from Impact.
Morrissey is so good on the mic now. It's unbelievable. Just his confidence. It's amazing what happened when you could be confident. Like, all you got to do is be confident on the mic and bring that confidence. And he's been so good over the last month of tapings. Like, between his matches, between his mic work, between his gimmick, his look, he's the total package. And this is where you lose a little bit with the show when you don't have the main event title on a guy in the company, especially if that guy's a heel, because this is the guy that should have that belt now, and he should just have it for like a year straight and just crush everyone. Just go the Roman Reigns route with Morrissey right now if I were Impact.
Yeah.
But they don't have the title right now, so they got to wait.
Speaking of bright spots, here's the other bright spot of Impact Wrestling, the debut of Steve Macklin. He just takes on an enhancement guy, Jason Page, totally dominates him. This has been a great character that they have been building up with these awesome vignettes. I was happy to see him make his debut, and I'm high on Steve Macklin.
Those elbow shots to Jason, that they look like they're going to murder Jason Page. Like, Macklin is this is a wrestler, that I even forgot that he was in the Forgotten Sons, right? I forgot who he was. This gimmick is awesome. I love this badass, almost war vet sort of freaking gimmick. Those elbows were nasty. That inverted DDT was incredible. Macklin is going to be a force, and I hope they make him a face because I think he has the potential to be an almost Arnold. If you can book him like a Arnold Commando, if you can book him like Rambo Stallone, he is going to be awesome, and I hope they go that route with him.
Yeah, those elbows he was using, they looked great. I thought the ref was just going to stop the match there.
That's what I thought. And I was like, man, if he comes in and just beats this jobber with his elbows where it gets stopped, that makes me more excited to see what else he has in his arsenal for a moveset, even though we didn't really get the whole thing. But this is great. Macklin's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Fingers crossed Impact does not mess this up. Hicks Villain says, poor Enzo, Big Cass finally outgrew him. I wouldn't be against Enzo making an appearance, maybe just for Big Cass to destroy him, That
would be a great way to write off his past too.
Yeah.
Let's get Enzo on for one taping, maybe two tapings, and he comes in, helps him win a match, and then the next week Morrissey just absolutely pummels the real one.
We get a backstage segment. Two of them, actually. We get Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering. They're having their differences. They haven't broke these two up yet.
This is the dead horse that is just now a skeleton because it's been beaten so badly that the meat is off the bones. This is just Jordan Grace. I cannot speak about how much I love Jordan Grace enough, and I cannot speak about how much Impact really likes to break my heart week after week with her. It's getting a point to where I feel like I'm being ribbed.
Yeah, let's break them up already. Next segment, we get Gia Miller knocking on Kenny Omega's door. Out comes Don Callis. He's talking how about his differences with Scott D'Amore, how the Anthem rep is coming out, and that they're gonna straighten everything out. He seems very confident that there's nothing to worry about. Now we get match 4. Tennille Dashwood with Caleb with a K versus Rachel Ellering, who comes out by herself. She was hoping Jordan Grace would come out with her, but Jordan's as sick of Rachel Ellering as we are with this storyline.
Did you hear what they called her on commentary? The Queen of Strong Smile, and I was just like, God, can you put when you put a gimmick on a wrestler that hasn't found their charisma yet, like Ellering hasn't found her charisma yet, so don't give her a gimmick that she can't hold up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see the Queen of Strong Smile holding up for Rachel Ellering.
And I feel like they used that tagline on Kylie Ray.
It was. It was, and where it would actually fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda B's in the house. What's up, Amanda? You haven't missed Oiliest Wrestler of the Week yet. and it's someone new. So very exciting.
Bringing a new chest to the audience.
Tennille Dashwood gets the win because Jordan Grace was not there to help Rachel Ellering. So Caleb with a K was able to what did he do? Hit her with the O-ring light?
He what did he do? Yeah, he did.
He shined the light.
He shined the light on her face, and she was like, "Oh no!" and it turned into the pin. And I was just like, "Oh Jesus!" This was where I was like, "All right." I was saying, you know what? I'm gonna lose some weight. I'm gonna treat my body better. At this point, I grabbed a beer and I grabbed chips, and I said, "I'm in for another hour of this show, and this is what I need to get through it."
We got Fire and Flavor backstage. They're asking everyone who's the greatest Knockouts tag team champions of all time. No one can give them an answer. They're just asking like maintenance guys and workers backstage. Finally, what's her name? The leader of Rosemary.
Rosemary.
Comes out and Havoc joins her. They beat up Fire and Flavor. They throw Tasha Steelz into the dumpster, or no, they throw Kira Hogan in the dumpster. And this might be the highlight of the week. After they leave, Kira Hogan tries to get out of the dumpster, and Tasha Steelz is like, "What is that?" And she picks up a garbage bag, and it has Mickie James' name on it.
If this was the highlight, and probably the best thing I saw in wrestling this week, that was fantastic. So the highlight winner of the week should be tied for Fire and Flavor, because they've actually been really good on the mic. The reason why they're the greatest Knockouts tag team is because A, there is no other Knockouts tag team, but B, no other Knockouts can match their charisma and their mic skills, and they're just going to get flattened out.
I don't know what the status is of Angelina Love with Ring of Honor. I think Velvet Sky is retired, but it seems like they're trying to, with Fire and Flavor working this, they're the best Knockouts tag team of all time for a classic team to return. And the Beautiful People are really only the only classic Knockouts team that Impact has.
Maybe they'll do it for Slammiversary, because now that Joe is back with NXT, they need something to bring back TNA originals to try to get back eyes on the program.
Hicks Villain says Mickie James is already working with NWA, putting together a women's show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that. She's listed as a producer. I guess that's a way to get her on TV, since she's not a talent, like on-air talent. She's a producer backstage, but she was on TV with Billy Corgan talking about the event. Next up, match 5, Rhino with Violent by Design with him versus Kojima with Eddie Edwards. You're a big Kojima fan, right?
Poor Eddie Edwards. What did Eddie Edwards do to deserve being teamed up with Kojima, who didn't realize that he was in a taped promo, and he's like, "Sorry, no speak English." Like, seriously, what kind of black cat and ladder did Eddie Edwards pass and go under on his way to getting appendicitis.
Well, Kojima gets the win, and it looks like we're going to get Kojima and Eddie Edwards versus Violent by Design for the tag titles.
Poor Eddie's gonna get his ass beat by Violent by Design, and that's just the way it's gonna happen. And unless he takes, now I've got a whole new thing. They just gotta make Macklin a face, and he's got to take the belt off of Omega when that happens, and just have Macklin and Morrissey, your two bright spots of the company. Start building around them, because the luster on Moose is slowly coming off.
Man, that would be a pretty badass main event picture. You might want to put them in different programs just so you would have more badassness to go around. We got OC Steve in the chat. He's going to, there's a New Japan show in LA. He's stoked for that. Steve, did you get tickets for it? All right. So now we get the blow off, the big main event, which is Scott D'Amore. He comes down to ringside, and he's saying how he's waiting on Anthem's representative come out. Long-haired Tommy Dreamer with the bun on top comes out, and Scott D'Amore looks frustrated. He's like, Tommy, I don't got time for you. You're always telling me how I'm making terrible decisions and how I can't trust Don Callis, but I don't got time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Dreamer says, no, I'm actually the Anthem representative. Don Callis is out there now. And Tommy just goes on and saying how, he told Scott D'Amore that he couldn't trust Don Callis, and just basically seeming like he's putting the blame on Scott D'Amore. And this was where Don Callis really shined, because he was like, take it easy on him. He's trying his best. It was pretty funny. And then that's when we all knew it was coming. That's when Tommy Dreamer fires Don Callis. Callis runs off and is like, you haven't seen the last of me. He's fired as an executive from Impact, but he is still the manager of Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega still has dates with Impact. So clearly not the last we've seen of Don Callis.
And Sami Callihan's not the guy to take the belt off Omega. As far as I see it, they screwed the pooch when it came to Moose taking the belt off of him, because they're for whatever reason too shy to make him a badass face or make a heel versus heel situation where they begrudgingly have to root for the heel to get their title back. They just blew that off way too early. Callahan can't hold Omega's jock strap in the ring. And if Omega beat Moxley, who has been the best hardcore match wrestler in the past decade plus, he ain't losing to Sami Callihan. So you gotta, to me, this is just, it's a nice way to sell it, but it's done.
Do you think there's any possibility of Callahan taking the Impact title? Because they've been making a big deal about Callahan on Impact Wrestling.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
AEW is doing more, just the name Omega is doing more for Impact than I think Impact would like to even admit. So,
does the person who takes the belt from Omega make an appearance at Slammiversary?
Yes. Yes.
Is he already on the roster?
No.
No.
Okay. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's got to be a huge signing, and I don't know who's out there to be that huge signing.
Yeah. OC Steve says tickets go on sale next Monday, and it's going to be at the LA Coliseum. And we got Phil Diaz, 8 Comics in the house. What's up, Phil? Hicks Villain says Omega is only losing the belt in some multi-man match where he doesn't take the pin. And OC Steve says Sammy versus Kenny will not be a long match. So I'm hoping they don't put the belt on Sami Callihan. The only reason I worry about it is because they've made such a big deal about him, and that Don Callis has been afraid of Sami Callihan for over a month. which I don't get it.
Okay, let's fantasy book it. Who would you say is the guy to be the next Impact Championship? Who will be the next champ?
I'm saying it's going to be Eddie Edwards. Impact's going to get it right.
God, we can only hope. We can only hope.
Eddie Edwards wins, and then you line up monsters against him.
Mm-hmm.
Morrissey, Macklin. I have a feeling Macklin's going to be a heel.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see a couple months of Edwards versus Morrissey, a couple months of Edwards versus Macklin.
Agreed. But Impact has to do what they did last Slammiversary. They have to overhaul the product, and I think that's what it has to be. Like, you got to say goodbye to certain wrestlers, and you got to write some of them out, and you got to think about your new storylines progressing, because right now they're just slowly dying.
OC Steve might know who the surprise at Slammiversary will be. Tommy End, formerly known as Aleister Black.
I hope so. Impact needs he'll get lost in the shuffle over an AEW as much as I think him and Omega would be fire, but we would get that on Impact Wrestling anyway. So I hope it is Tommy, and I hope he does beat Omega, because that would be awesome.
OC Steve also says AEW should just buy Impact at this time, where Hicks Villain says AEW's Dark Impact has a certain ring to it. There's enough dark shows, I think. All right, it's time to talk AEW.
About the potential buyer of Impact. So we get the match opening up, which is a match I was excited for. It was Jake Hager versus Wardlow in an MMA rules cage fight match. The match was probably the best done MMA match in a wrestling format that I've seen, but I take a little bit of offense to the ending of the match.
I really enjoyed this match. I think you could tell that Wardlow wasn't winning when MJF didn't second him to the ring, whereas Jericho came out with Jake Hager. My one criticism would be, I feel like they I know they have to do it, but they made Wardlow look too much like a beast, like knocking down Jake Hager a couple times.
See, I like that. I like that because I think Wardlow has the brighter future than even MJF at this point. So I didn't like the referee stoppage of it. I'd rather have Wardlow, even if he has to tap out, I'd rather have him do that rather than the referee stoppage. I think it would add a little humility to the character. But afterwards, I really enjoyed what happened after with MJF coming out, and what it's really doing is making Sammy Guevara a superstar.
Yeah, and also Wardlow's a babyface. He's going to be one eventually. He was about to show respect to Jake Hager when Sean Spears attacked from behind, and then that led to MJF coming out, and then Sammy Guevara with the save, chasing them all away. Yeah, they're really building up Sammy. He's going to be the guy to beat MJF. It's not going to be Jericho.
No, and it's going to be awesome. Like this is why I love factions in wrestling, because factions against other factions, you don't need titles, right? The storylines can be built with multiple people, and people who aren't on the show can come on the show and make a difference. Who would have thought Sean Spears would be a standout in the Pinnacle? His star has shown brighter than FTR's, in my opinion. I think Sean Spears is taking his role in the Pinnacle and with Tully, and he's just rocking it so far. And and pushing Sammy to that main event level by basically doing, well, if Jericho's a main eventer and MJF beats Jericho and Sammy can beat MJF, that elevates him. I was really excited for the rest of the show because I love how AEW was starting to highlight some of their younger stars.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got Leroy in the chat. He says, "Why does Mark look like the drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket?" That's because I got that terrible haircut a couple weeks ago. I mean, Leroy actually saw my hair. I showed him backstage on his channel, so it was even worse. But it's going to take a couple more weeks to fully grow in. But I thought it looked a little better than it did last week when I wasn't showing it off. OC Steve says Impact is too AEW centric at the moment. Yeah, and AEW doesn't mention Impact at all. Hicks Villain says, don't forget to buy MJF coin. And OC Steve says, too many heel factions. Remember when the Dark Order were heels? Yeah, the Dark Order, which I used to rave about Dark Order. They're not much of a faction anymore. I mean, they still stick together, but they don't really accomplish much.
No, unfortunately, they're going back to where they were. They're slowly falling back to the jobber team, slowly falling back to they're getting almost X-Pac heat for me. Like, I don't want to see them on my television anymore. And that's sad. Like, and I understand the passing of Brody Lee has a lot to do with that. And you have -1, but you're slowly going into PG WWE territory. You know what I mean? Like, you can't pride yourself on being on an alternative and then book a faction just like the company you don't want to be like.
Yeah, a little later, we're going to talk about a faction that I actually want to see more of. So when we get to it, I'll point them out.
I think I know who it is. But next up, we had a handicap match, or what I like to call the Why Does This Exist match. Darby Allin versus Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Ethan Page and Sky pick up the win because it's just the numbers game. That darn numbers game gets the best of Darby Allin.
It's because Darby Allin's an idiot, and he was able to choose a partner, but he was going to do this alone. He told his dad Sting to stay home. He didn't want him to interfere. Totally ungrateful. I mean, it was Father's Day, and he wants nothing to do with Sting.
Oh shit! But I don't understand where this storyline's going. Is it just because I don't understand? Is it because they just need something for Darby Allin, or do they need it for Sting, or do you think it would be better? Where does Darby go? Because I feel like he can't move up or down the card at this point.
I don't know. I don't know. Does he eventually beat them 2-on-1? Does he take each member out individually, or does he find? Is there a new partner out there? They love bringing in these new up and comers like your Brock Andersons or whoever from the.
We're gonna get in. We're gonna crush. Oh, if you thought I killed Impact, wait till Brock Anderson comes up. It's gonna be a slaughter.
Basically, I don't know what they're gonna do with Darby Allin.
So next up, we had probably one of the brightest spots in wrestling this week. We were introduced to a new faction, the Wingmen, which is a team of Pretty Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, Cesar Bononi, and JD Drake. What an awesome group of individuals together.
I love these guys. They're just so random, and I guess the one thing that's I think on they were talking they're about their jacket game. You have to really follow being the elite and
right.
Twitter and stuff to know this. But I really like these four as a group. I want to see some hangover type vignettes with them just wandering around, getting shot down by women,
But almost Night at the Rocks. I would love to see Cesar Bononi and Ryan Nemeth in Night of the Roxbury type shit, because those two guys look so well together. They should be an awesome tag team. Those two guys have the most charisma. I love Cesar Bononi. I think he is hilarious. His look, the way he talks trash in the ring, the way he flexes. The dude the dude has a presence. Ryan Nemeth, obviously, brother of Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. He has gotten all that charisma in spades too. This is a fun group, and I love it.
Yeah, I really like these guys. Steve says the Misfits 2.0. No, I don't think so. I think that you really have something here. Like I thought that when I first saw the Dark Order, I was like, there's something there. I think there's something there with these guys too. They're just I don't know, just something likable about them.
Yes, and JD Drake is hilarious too. Like if you the best part when in acting, right? They say the way to really make your role stand out is even when you don't have lines, you got to make sure that your eye is drawn to you, whether it be facial expressions or looks. And JD Drake he's not the prettiest of the group, but him playing off those guys with his looks and his actions, he's gonna be awesome. I'm just so excited for this entire group.
Hicks Villain says wingmen are dark royalty. They are like a hangover American Pie group of friends. No, that's a great comparison for them. Yeah, there's just something about them. I hope to see more of them, and I hope to see them. Like I don't watch Dark, but I might if like Hicks Villain says they're dark royalty over there. I'd like to see them get some W's.
I don't know if it's because they're new, right? But I just enjoyed those. You know what? I don't think it's because they're new. I think it's because we know that Chris Statlander somehow, like, we know that she does stuff on BTE and we know the history, but she just doesn't feel like she fits in with Best Friends. Where these guys just look like a group of guys that they look like the guys I hung out in college with. That's why I love the Wingmen. They look just like my friends from college.
Can we talk about being the elite for a section?
Yeah.
Ryan Nemeth's segment, it isn't going anywhere. The Hollywood hunk trivia where every answer is him.
Yeah.
The new segment should just be those four guys getting into crazy misadventures, just sort of like how the Dark Order used to be.
Yeah. And I like watching this match. I'm just going to say it. Orange Cassidy should be the guy that takes the belt off Omega. I don't know, whoever you have scheduled, even if it's Hangman Page, at this point, Orange Cassidy has worked himself into the main event picture. And this was an awesome match for him. The orange punch just landed. I thought he actually hit Cesar. That's how snug he had that punch. And just what I love about hearing the fans again when it comes to AEW is how over Orange. Like, through this pandemic, he's the one guy that's kept being so over.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you about Orange Cassidy being the guy that needs to take the title from Omega. Pro wrestling is the best when it makes you believe in the unbelievable. And there were so many times during that last pay-per-view in the three-way match that I thought, oh my God, they're actually going to put the belt on Orange Cassidy. This is the night. They had me hooked. I thought he was going to win it. He has to be the guy.
Yeah, and he what we talked about, Josh Alexander, he's the complete opposite.
He's all
of
character. Yeah.
He's all character, but he's good. Like, you have to know your character so well to pull off what he does. Even the lazy pins, he has a hot tag for himself in the middle of the matches. Like, I've never seen a guy heat himself up. He's just so good. I love everything Orange Cassidy does, and this whole segment was a total win for me in a week where wrestling seemed a little down.
And we're not done talking about this segment because we have an award to give out. We have to give out the oiliest wrestler of the week, and the honor goes to none other than Ryan Nemeth, who didn't even wrestle in the match, but underneath his suit jacket, he was all oiled up to the point where he took his jacket off and put it on Orange Cassidy because he wanted to show off that shine.
He had like that sequenced jacket, and his pecs were outshining the sequence. They were his chest was sparkling, and I think Ryan Nemeth is one of the few oiliest wrestlers of the week to not have any chest hair. So that's how much oil he put on him. He did not #rub it in.
He's a big star. Is he officially signed to AEW? Because I haven't seen the Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood hunk is all elite graphic yet.
If it happens, it better just be his chest with all that oil droplets.
Leroy says this is so gay. Leroy, you're the one who demanded this segment. This is all for you.
And Amanda B.
Let's see. Hicks Villain says Avalon and Caesar do too many fake BJ bits on being the elite. OC Steve says I want Cage versus Miro.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve says Michael Nakazawa should always have this title. He doesn't do the gimmick anymore. He is an elite underling, an elite lackey. So he doesn't get to win Oiliest Wrestler of the Week. But I'm looking forward to him coming out of retirement, because he would be the one who would unseat I think Miro as the king of Oiliest Wrestlers.
Oh, Miro, that's not even his gimmick, and Miro still will win that. The chest hair game is too much for Nakazawa to compete with.
You know, I was thinking about Miro this week, only because John Cena has a couple of big movies coming out. He has Fast 9. He has Suicide Squad. I was thinking, who is that next wrestler that's going to become who's going to be bigger than pro wrestling? I think over on WWE, it's clear it's going to be Roman Reigns to go to that next level. But I was thinking, who's the guy on AEW? And I think it's going to be Miro, just because I feel like he has the biggest presence out of anyone they have right now.
Yeah, no offense to Stone Cold. And no, I'm not comparing Kenny Omega to Stone Cold, because Stone Cold's on the Mount Rushmore. But Kenny Omega will not transcend wrestling, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin did not make it into movies. He's always will be known as the premier wrestler, where The Rock became the premier entertainer. And I think Miro has more of those qualities than an Omega does.
Zayd Comics says Roman Reigns. Phil, you're clearly not watching Roman Reigns right now. He is the best thing going in wrestling right now. He is so good on the mic. He knows his character so well. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So, man, and there was no Miro on this show, if I'm not mistaken.
He came out to save Penelope Ford.
Yeah, but it wasn't as what I've been. Unless they're gonna try to make him try to steal Penelope away from Kip. But
I think this is some long form storytelling to have Miro and Lana versus returning Kip and Penelope.
Right. So next up, we go from one of the highest spots of the week to one of the absolutely lowest spots of the week. Why is Cody Rhodes continuing to damage himself by teaming up with jabrones like Brock Anderson, right? And going up against someone with Aaron Solo. So the next match is Cody Rhodes and Brock Anderson versus QT Marshall and Aaron Solo with Nick Camarado of The Factory. This match was a whole mess of everything that's wrong with AEW at the moment.
Brock Anderson isn't ready for TV.
No.
Maybe he's wanted to be a wrestler all his life. And with Arn Anderson as your dad, sure, I believe it. But it looks like he just started working out to be a pro wrestler maybe 4 months ago.
The way his footwork is terrible. The way he was literally hopping around because he didn't know where to go. And poor Aaron Solo was just in the corner come on, dude, I can only wait here days until you can come back and hit me with an Irish whip. He was just, the moment was too big for him. They should have waited till a taped episode to do this so they could retape spots and check camera angles, because the live audience wasn't buying it. Being live on television, Twitter was absolutely killing him, and rightfully so. If Cody Rhodes is writing this, he needs to step away, because think about Cody Rhodes when AEW first started. He challenged Jericho, and he put his not being able to compete on the line on there. So he's been really having to do a lot of character work, try to up his storylines. The TNT title was awesome. Him versus Brody Lee was awesome. His matches with Orange Cassidy, really making the TNT title almost the top title in the business for AEW, and now I don't get the appeal of Cody Rhodes right now.
Yeah, no, Cody's done this to himself. I was gonna say, like, I thought the only thing that could have saved Brock Anderson was if he had turned on Cody during this match and like yelled at his father and said, "Why are you with him? Don't you know what his family and the Andersons have been through the years?" And then just like pair up with QT Marshall and say QT is more of a father than you will ever be, and he should have just joined the factory.
Yeah, but
and then he could have just been on Dark for
working to get up, and you could have given the factory a nice little bump, and Cody can almost make it because he just had his baby, right? He can go on paternity leave for a little bit. That could have been an entire beatdown by the entire factory to write Cody off for him to come back later, maybe with black hair again. But it's I feel like AEW is falling into currently the WWE style of now we're just pausing things because AEW is saying has already started their new tour dates, have the places lined up. I feel like now they're officially in this stagnant thing where they're like, we're just going to give them just enough now.
Phil Diaz says, bring back CM Punk, then he'll watch. A lot of people, I think, would watch if CM Punk came back. Hicks Villain says, Braun Strowman will be the next big Hollywood guy. I don't see Braun. I could see him being like a goon in an action movie. I don't see him becoming like a John Cena Rock level star.
Mm-hmm.
Or even a Dave Bautista level star. Newcomer to the chat. I hope I'm saying this right. A Pitts Bin Seenan. He says, hello, guys. What's up? Thanks for joining us, man.
I'm going to call you AB. What up, AB?
Yeah. Good call. And Hicks Villain says, wait until Hook chop blocks Baby Anderson and chokes him out. Please.
They need a new title called the Young Guns title, and you can only compete for the title if you've wrestled less than 5 years. So you can have all these guys, they have a spot on the card, and you can just have Hook take them all out because Hook is the man.
Yeah, no, I think Hook is like the most over wrestler on La Podgods who's never actually wrestled. and here's the thing. He's not getting in the ring like Brock Anderson. You know he's training, but they're holding off on him, probably because Taz is like, he's not ready. Whereas I feel like they're rushing Brock Anderson.
Exactly.
AB says, can I have a request for Phil and Mark? Can you show the full design t-shirt you wear now with standing and full screen? By the way, nice tees you have there.
Thank you. Mine is a Venom t-shirt a student got me before I left.
And I'm wearing a Terry Gordy Dr. Death Steve Williams t-shirt.
What the Pod Gods does, bringing our comic book fandom and our wrestling fandom together.
Absolutely. I think we're the only wrestling show by two comic creators.
So after the match, we had a video package for Lance Archer, and then we had a sit-down interview with JR and Andrade El Idolo, where nothing really new happened, just more or less trying to give him a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, no, I thought Andrade looked pretty cool in this. You know, absolutely. JR had no idea what he was saying when he was speaking Spanish for that one segment.
Yes. JR was like, and trying to really sell it. It's like, oh, come on.
At least he didn't pull a Kojima.
No speak Spanish. Kojima's the worst. All right, we have to have a Kojima moment of the week where it's the most outlandish thing ever. Because it's been weeks, and the thing I remember from Impact most is Kojima not knowing was in a promo.
You're being too hard on Kojima.
Brock Anderson is the Kojima wrestler of the week. That doesn't make sense. But next up, we had a nice little women's division match for AEW. We have Julia Hart with the Varsity Blondes versus Penelope Ford.
I really like this match.
Mhm.
I was surprised Penelope Ford got the win, and she looked great doing it. I thought just the way TV's been lately, I thought Julia Hart was the one they were gonna have go over in this. But I'm glad. I'm glad they're doing something with Penelope Ford.
She fits in so well with the Varsity Blondes. They're a nice, young, up and coming group of stars, and I enjoy when they're on. They're not going to win, but they almost have a little bit of a too cool vibe to them. Like you like them no matter what. You know they're going to lose, and they're not going to really, blow your balls off, so to speak. But I really enjoy, um, the Varsity Blondes.
Yeah, no, they're a great act. I enjoy them too. We got Eric McIntyre in the chat. He says wrestling post 2007 is gay. I disagree. I think we're in a great time of pro wrestling right now.
We're in a weird transition period, Eric, where people have to come to realize that the Attitude Era will never come back again. As sad as that makes me, because that's when I got into wrestling, and that's what I really love most. I have the Peacock Network just so I can watch old Attitude Era wrestling.
That they edit.
That they edit now, which I'd rather pay the $5 more so I can see DX dress up as the Nation, because but we're in a transition period where we have to figure out what is the next evolution of wrestling. We need characters back, and AEW is slowly building up characters, and they get a little caught in that New Japan of, well, my gimmick can be I'm the best wrestler in the world, and I think we're seeing the next evolution of the Bucks and Omega when they were those characters, because now they're trying to figure out how that translates to an American audience. As weird as that sounds.
Hicks Villain says Julia Hart is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
No, I loved Miro coming out. We spoke on it earlier. Probably long form storytelling, but I'm all for that because Miro has been on fire he's been the best part of AEW the past couple of weeks. Miro's been promo wise, character wise, wrestling wise. He's just killing it in all three phases.
Yeah, no, I think he's finally figured out his character, because the Best Man was a terrible character. Do you remember those weird vignettes with that video game guy that he was talking?
Yes, and apparently we were all like, "Oh, who is this?" And he's just some Pac-Man world record holder. We were supposed to know. I think Tony Khan thought, "Oh, Twitch streamers, and this is really these kids who watch video games and these adults who love watching video games are gonna get this reference." When I don't think the audiences match up. I don't think they converge.
Yeah. Hicks Villain says Triple H doesn't want his daughter seeing the Croc. Yeah, not a good look for Triple H, I guess.
Only Stephanie requests that when there's no cameras on. So next up, we get after the match we get a Britt Baker promo. Anything next for Britt Baker? What are we doing with Britt?
I just thought it was funny that her, Rebel, and Tony Schiavone laughed at the thought of, I guess, Nyla Rose as a challenger.
Because we know Nyla's not going to win, right? There's no chance. Nyla is the Sami Callihan of this feud, right? Where they're trying everything. They're trying everything to make us feel like it's in danger, but it's not going to be. But after that, we get our 6-man tag team match. We get Penta, Eddie Kingston, and Frankie Kazarian against Matt Jackson and the Good Brothers.
Was Alex out there?
Alex was out there because he came out to the ring, and Alex just makes the Penta gimmick even better.
I was disappointed he didn't really get to say anything, because he works best when he says Penta says.
Right, and I think they're continuing with continuity, which thank God, because we've been calling for Alex, whether it be face or heel, when it comes to Penta, just at least have Alex come with him, and that's why I really like that Alex, even if he just came out with him, didn't do much. It's just making sure that he still stays with Penta, and I'm all for it.
OC Steve says heel with two faces versus being the elite buddies.
Yeah. Pretty much. But the match ended when Nick Jackson appeared out of nowhere, shooting some hairspray in Penta's face, and having Anderson score the win with a cutter. So Matt Jackson and the Good Brothers defeat Penta, Kingston, and Kazarian.
I think Nick Jackson is the best heel in wrestling right now.
See, now I would say Matt Jackson. I mean, the Jacksons have just done so well since turning heel. This was the heel turn we've wanted, and thank God they know how to write themselves, because this is exactly what the Bucks needed to stay relevant.
I just feel like Nick Jackson went the extra mile with lightening his hair. He's got the goatee now. And plus his being the elite trick shot character, I feel is a heel too.
Right. I'm really enjoying. I want a little bit more Good Brothers. I think the reason why we're not getting Ultra Good Brothers, Ultra Gun Stun Carl Anderson is because we're just waiting a couple months till their contract runs out and they're officially all elite.
I think so. Hicks Villain says they'll hold off on any serious Baker feuds until she can have a proper pay-per-view match with Thunder Rosa.
Right.
And OCC says Cutter, aka don't call it a gun stun.
Right. Not until he signs with AEW, which I thought was a nice. Which I gotta give it to commentary for AEW. They've been really good over the past couple months. As much as we used to grill JR is slowly being sort of phased out a little bit. He's not doing as much talking as much as the other two, which has been good.
OC Steve says Good Brothers are announced for the New Japan event. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they're just living the life right now.
Yeah,
good on the Good Brothers.
Get to work everywhere they want. They're running their own events, the Talking Shop of Manias, so they're having a good time.
Right. But that ends our show.
AEW definitely the better show this week.
Not by only because let's not say AEW was a winner. They just happened to be the less worse of the two this week.
There's a lot of highlights though. The
right.
MMA match, the Wingmen, fantastic. Yes. Just I don't know. Even like matches like Penelope Ford versus Julia Hart, because then we got the Varsity Blondes, we got Miro coming out. I don't know. You get to see the Bucks, the Good Brothers. I don't know. Yeah. Definitely a better show in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, I think it's them just holding on to live touring starts, but don't do it. TK, don't go into the Vince McMahon route.
Definitely the low light Brock Anderson, just not ready for TV.
Yeah. I think that, and no Hangman Page this week, right?
Yeah.
No Dark Order this week. I think they gotta, their next pay-per-view, they gotta hit the reset button. A little soft reboot, because August 13th is their debut of their new weekly Friday show. So they better pull it like SmackDown 2000 style SmackDown of having their first show try to be a Dynamite episode.
Yeah. OC Steve says Moxley, Jay White, Tom Lawler are all in that New Japan event. Hicks Villain says Good Brothers versus Guerrillas of Destiny is the match we need. I'd love to see that. Steve says Laredo Pro will need new bookers after the Good Brothers go all in on AEW. And Hicks Villain thinks Good Brothers versus Guerrillas of Destiny will probably happen in LA. That'd be a big match.
Yeah, it's going to be. And this is why we don't think wrestling is gay after 2007. It's just the storylines and the characters have been forgotten, and hopefully, as we continue on, we can get a little bit more of a renaissance into that.
Yeah. No, and we're getting a lot of choices, much like we did back in the Attitude Era when we had WWE, WCW, ECW. Now we got WWE, AEW, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor. We got Major League Wrestling stepping up. I'm going to their event July 10th that they're having their TV tapings in Philadelphia. And GCW making some noise with Matt Cardona attacking Nick Gage.
Yeah, it's weird in the fact that I don't know if necessarily they're shooting that. I think the way we take in media has changed since the Attitude Era. And it's changed since the Ruthless Aggression Era. And the fact that there's just so many ways you can view wrestling, and there's so many companies out there that we're really stretching it thin. But when we say we're stretching it thin, we take a look at AEW's roster, and they're just so stacked where an Aleister Black may have to go on Impact because AEW hasn't shown what they can do with major player talent yet outside of the elite.
Yeah, no, I agree. One last comment from OC Steve. Ring of Honor having live events starting soon. Yeah, I saw that. Phil, before we go, where can people catch you at?
You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at Animated Phil. You can catch me at my Etsy shop on the link in the description below. You'll catch me on Best Friends of the Show. I don't know if I can do it on Thursday, so hopefully we can move it to Friday this week. But just
actually, Sean already told us he couldn't. He was taken off this week. So
okay, so Best Friend Show will be off this week.
Yep, and in its place, Thursday night, I'm gonna live stream with my friend Enrico Bada, a former sculptor for McFarlane Toys. We're gonna talk about some McFarlane Toys stories, working with for Todd McFarlane. So it should be fun. Anyway,
love Enrico.
Yeah, Enrico's the best. He's working on a Viking Wolf piece for me that is absolutely fantastic. You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton. Hit the notifications. And if you haven't checked out Viking Wolf, check it out. 6 days left in the first 30 days of the campaign. We'll see you guys next week for La Pot Gods and Best Friend Show. Thanks for watching, guys.